Alright, here we go. Setting up these rack oil changes. We got this one all set up. We got that one going right now. So this is how I usually like to set them up. So with these Carlisles, I allocate 2 gallons, POE 68. Always 68 with Carlisles, right? POE 32s for Copeland. Carlisles are gonna take 68. You run 32 with Carlisles. I've had issues in the past. That's just me. If you run it, you're fine, then fucking stick with it. But 2 gallons for the big ones, 1 gallon for the small ones, and then I allocate 2 gallons for the reservoir, right? And then we got a new oil filter set up, and then you can see lurking back here, that's gonna be a separate video. I think we're gonna be doing separators. We're gonna change out these helical separators for these coalescing separators, I think next week. All right, so a quick run through how I like to do these oil changes. You know, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. But how I do it is I'll front seat. I keep the rack running. I do 1 compressor at a time with the rack running, right? Or if I got 2 guys, we'll do 2 compressors at a time, 3 compressors, whatever. So what I do is I hook up a hose, so I'll put my valve core removal tool on here, right? On your oil pump. Force the compressor to run. So typically I'll come up here to the RO board, force that compressor to run, and then I'll spray that oil from there into a bucket. I'll usually have like a bucket next to me, right? And I'll let that oil pump till there's no more oil, and I'm waiting for this safety to fail, right? So that's how I check the safeties on the rack at the same time, is I pump all the oil out through the oil pump while the compressor's running, and this safety should time out on me. If it doesn't, put an X on it, come back and replace it. Once you do that, there's really not much to these Carlisle compressors. This is front seated. Once you have all the oil out, isolate the compressor on your suction and your discharge, let all your compressor gas out, and then there's always a screen under here that needs to be cleaned, and then basically just clean the screen and clean this sight glass. There is a pickup screen for Carlisles, but it's underneath this bottom plate. And basically you have to remove the compressor, take all these bolts off, make sure you have a new gasket on there. It's not really serviceable, the pickup screen for Carlisles. For Copeland makes it super easy. You know, they got that pickup screen, you just pull it out and clean. But then basically, once we have that screen clean, the sight glass clean, then we'll go ahead, purge it, and then open it up, filling oil from that reservoir, and watching that oil come in back into this oil pot. And then that's basically how we check to make sure everything's good. All right, so right now, so we got that whole rack done. We're gonna start this one. I'm gonna kind of show the whole process. So right now I'm hooking up this to there. I need to get those caps off. So you always have to put your cap or whatever on first, right? Because if I start stemming that in without anything on that porch, it's gonna start spraying out oil. So put that on, turn it off. And now we're gonna close this up. Like I said, I like to let this sit closed for like at least 10 minutes before we even get started. I'm just soaking up as much oil as I can, trying to stack it all in this reservoir. It just makes it easier. So we're gonna let this sit, and then we're gonna start getting to these. All right, so we got this closed off. Right now we're just going through, closing all these oil lines on the compressors, getting all these caps off, just doing all of our prep work on this. I got my little pump station set up. These little oil rags, you can get these from United. They're these gray rags. I love using these for oil. They absorb oil really good. Not very good as like a hand rag, but when you're trying to soak up oil, it works really good. And you see, I kind of set myself up like a little workstation, and then as I move compressors, I'll just kind of pull this along with me. But just the tools I'm gonna need, my bucket, I just need to grab my hose. But we're gonna get all this shit done and then get after it. All right, so we got all this stuff ready to go. He's over here about ready to hook up that oil pump. First thing we wanna do is make sure that these compressors are running. With the way that I do these oil changes, these compressors have to be running. So I come in, relay 1 is for comp 1, which is what he's working on. So I'm gonna take this, you can see it's in auto right now, and switch that to on. and that compressor should come on. And you can see that it did. Compressor number 1 is pulled in. So we'll keep that on, dump the oil, and then when this oil fail cuts off, then we'll kill that breaker, put that toggle on off. And you can see these sight glasses, they're all these fucking sight glasses are dirty as shit. These ones you can see oil level in. But like this one, either there's no oil in there or it's just super dirty, we can't see the level. So while the compressor's running, we're pushing that oil out, and we're gonna keep pushing it until we get no more oil, and then we're gonna let this thing cut out, right? We're confirming that this safety control works by draining that oil, basically. All right, so you can see now, well, actually on camera, it still looks like a pretty steady stream. So you can see now we're getting a lot of this fucking vapor refrigerant, and now it's just pretty much straight refrigerant. So we're gonna keep that off, and we're gonna wait for this thing to cut out, which it already did. So that contactor's pulled out, the compressor's de-energized. We're gonna go ahead, kill that breaker, put this toggle switch from on to off, and then start isolating the compressor. All right, so we're gonna put, while it's still open, we're gonna put this ball valve hose on there, close that ball valve hose, and then front seat that discharge service valve. If you try to do it after the service valve is front seated, you're gonna piss out all that pressure. So put the hose on first. Nope, front seated all the way. So we got that front seated, and then we're just gonna open off that ball valve and blow off the compressor, or the pressure from the compressor. There's not too much. And then once we get that done, we'll go ahead and pull that screen, clean it up. Again, there's not much to do with these Carlisles because those pickup screens are on the bottom of the compressor. So. And you can see what kind of oil we're getting out of these things. This thing is black. This oil's dirty, man. So these racks definitely needed it. So while he's getting all that stuff out, I'm gonna go ahead, start draining this oil from this reservoir. We've had it off for probably, I don't know, 15 minutes now. See if I can do this with one hand. Hold this hose and open this valve, because this hose is gonna wanna fucking jump out at me. All right, so I have that crack. So you can see we're fucking dumping oil. You can see this oil's nasty, man. I've never changed oil on a rack that has clean oil, so I don't really know what clean oil looks like after it's running, but I can tell you what dirty oil looks like, and it's black. All right, so we got this off, and if you notice, those of you that know, we're kind of missing something in there. There's supposed to be a little screen. It's basically just there to filter out the particulates. I guess I'll show you guys on the next one we do what that screen looks like. Or I'm about to start up doing that one over there, so I'll show it once I pull that one out. Then the other thing we do, we pull these sight glasses off. Super easy, just 7/16 bolts. It's real nice, you just pull them off, clean them, put it back in. That way you can actually see what the oil level is. All right, so you can see we're pretty much done blowing out the oil out of this separator, or out of this reservoir. There we go. There's still a little bit coming out, but you're not gonna get 100% of the oil out doing these oil changes. There's still gonna be oil fucking stuck a little bit everywhere. So as long as we can get majority of it out, I'm happy with that. You know, if we can get like 90% of that old nasty shit out. And then once we put these separators in, it's gonna clean the shit out of this oil. And you'll see, because the day after we put them in, I gotta come back and change those filters. I bet those filters are gonna be blacker than shit. So now that I've drained all the oil out of this, I'm gonna go ahead and start pumping new oil into this reservoir. And then he's almost about done with that compressor. We should be able to start filling it up. All right, so I've got this thing up to the second ball. I put 3 gallons in there. I've got this compressor opened up, purged it out. Last thing I want to do, well, not exactly the last thing, but now I'm going to open up this and if everything's working correct, I should start feeding oil into this compressor. Remember, we turned off all the oil lines for those other compressors. This is the only one that's open, so this compressor should start feeding. So let's see. And you can see right there, that oil level's starting to fill up. See how it's filling?
Yeah.
Right, so that's right about where Carlisle wants it. I wouldn't expect it to fill up much more than that, but that tells me that everything from this point to this point is working. So we just checked that whole oil circuit up to this compressor. Last thing to do, you can see I got my gauge on here. I'm gonna go ahead, turn this breaker on, turn this from off to on. I'm gonna force it on, and that compressor, well, I guess it's not gonna start up yet, or it shouldn't, right? Gotta hit that oil reset, and then it takes off. Last thing I'm checking is my net oil pressure. So I'll leave this on here for a second. Right now we're sitting at about 62, 63. Let's see what our suction pressure is. 35, so we're sitting at about a 32 to 33 pound net right now. So, I mean, that's pretty damn good. All right, awesome. I'm gonna start working on this one. Oh yeah, something else. I dumped out this bucket into that one, and you can see all down there along the bottom, you can see all that flake and all that crap that's coming out of these compressors. So, definitely needed. So, big thing when doing these sight glasses are these rubber O-rings, right? These rubber O-rings right there, not those ones, but these ones. These rubber O-rings. If you lose those and you don't have extra ones, you're kind of fucked. So when you're taking these off, just be real careful. They're either stuck here or stuck there, and don't lose them. And then what I'll do is I'm gonna clean this sight glass, right? Wipe it off. I'll put a little bit of oil. I'll just fucking dip my finger in that old oil. Put it on there. Put it on there. And then once I clean this sight glass, I'll just put it back on. And of course, I can't do an oil change without making a fucking mess. Got this bucket sitting up here, fucking tipped over, and now I'm fucking all covered with oil. Motherfucker. Alright, there should be, yep, there's that screen we were talking about. So it's just a screen in that oil line. Yeah. Not the worst, not terrible actually on this one. So we'll give her a quick rinse with the degreaser and put it back in. Okay, so this one I'm finding, so this was empty, right? You can see that sight glass is full. So I know that it's filling here, but this sight glass is still empty, right? So I'm assuming for whatever reason this thing filled up before this and closed that ball. Now what I'm gonna try to do, I've never done this, I don't know if it's actually gonna work, but in my mind it should, is I'm just gonna bump this contactor, right, for that compressor, sorry, that contactor for that compressor, and I'm gonna see if kind of getting the pressure moving in there will soak up some of that oil. Again, I've never done this, I don't know if it's actually gonna work, but I think that's how we figure stuff out as technicians, we just fucking try stuff. So just a quick little, that's it. And let's see what happens. Nothing yet. Try it again. Nothing again. Hold on. All right, so I hooked up my pressure gauge just to see if I'm getting oil pressure, and I am. That sight glass still isn't filling. I can see it like moving in there. I can see oil in there in that sight glass. I don't know if you guys can see it, probably not, but the last thing I want to do before I just let this thing go on its own is I'm going to spray some oil, make sure I got oil spraying out of here when I open it up. really. Not what I would like to see. Alright, we'll figure this one out. Alright, so we're good. I didn't have this on tight enough. So once I tightened that up, we started spraying out a good amount of oil. So this thing's good. I'm not 100% sure why this side glass is filled and that one's not, but I guess it still works. Alright, and then the last thing we did, change this oil filter. Obviously date it. I always encourage guys to blow through these old air filters or oil filters. And what I mean is fucking put your lips to this thing and fucking blow through. I get it, ew, it's dirty, it's yucky. Fucking grow up, get over it. This oil filter is fucking plugged, right? And what I tell guys who haven't done it, new oil filters, when you blow through them, it's almost like blowing through a straw, right? Like a straw you get at fucking McDonald's or with your drinks. There's a little bit of resistance there, but it flows straight through. This one and the one that we changed out over there are both fucking, you can't blow through it, you know? So, I know it's icky, but fucking put your mouth on there, blow through it. You'll find out a lot about your system based off that oil filter. I'll tell you right now, this system was dirty. I mean, we can see the oil, we can see the flake at the bottom of those barrels. So it definitely needed it. I'm still adding some oil to this reservoir. And then basically I'm just watching these compressors. I'm gonna be watching these oil levels, right? Oh look, that one's up now. So that's good. And then a little bit of cleanup. A little bit of cleanup to do, nothing crazy. We got all three of these barrels are all full. So we pulled 15 gallons of oil between the two racks, which I picked up 20 gallons total. So I estimated about 10 gallons per rack. So we got, 7.5 per rack, which is pretty good. I still got the rest of the oil right there, but I'm gonna watch this. This will probably continue to go down. I'll fill it up. Yeah, other than that, I mean, this took us, me and that other dude that were here, even with me filming, and messing around. It took us like 2 hours to do these 5 compressors. This one took us a little longer because I had those 2 dudes, and I'm kind of teaching both of them how to do it. So this one took a little bit longer, even though we had more hands. But like I said, these things, man, you can get 2 techs on a rack oil change, knock it out in a couple hours, no problem. They're no issue at all. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up for this one. So as always, like, subscribe, share. I appreciate everybody watching, and we'll catch you later. Have a good one.